The king who lost his name. Chapter 1. The cursed throne. In the grand kingdom of Veradora, there ruled a mighty and proud king. He was known for his wealth, his vast army, and his grand palace made of ivory and gold. But there was one problem: he had become arrogant and selfish. He cared little for his people and believed that his power would last forever. One evening, an old woman, dressed in rags, arrived at the palace gates. She begged the king for shelter from the storm. The king, sitting on his jeweled throne, laughed. "Why should I waste my palace's warmth on a beggar?" he sneered. The old woman looked at him with piercing eyes and whispered, "A ruler who forgets his people does not deserve his name." The next morning, when the king awoke, he felt strange. He could not remember his own name. He called his advisors, his guards, even the royal scholars, but no one could recall his name either. It had vanished from the history books, from the tongues of his people, and even from his own memory. Chapter 2. A kingdom without a king. Without his name, the king found that no one recognized his authority. His servants hesitated to obey his orders, and his ministers whispered among themselves. Desperate, he went to the village to ask the people if they knew him. But the people, once suffering under his rule, only said, "We know of no king who cares for us." For the first time in his life, the king felt powerless. He wandered through his own kingdom as a nameless man, seeing the struggles of his people, the hungry children, the overtaxed farmers, and the merchants cheated by corrupt officials. Chapter 3. The path to redemption. Determined to regain his name, the king disguised himself and began working among his people. He helped build houses, carried water from the river, and listened to their grievances. He saw how unfairly they had been treated and how much they had suffered under his rule. Slowly, he started making changes. He used his knowledge of ruling to solve disputes, protect the weak, and teach the people to govern themselves wisely. The people, unaware of his true identity, started respecting him, not as a king, but as a just and kind leader. Chapter 4. The return of the king. One day, the old woman returned. She smiled at him and said, "You have learned what true leadership means. A king is not his crown, nor his throne, he is his deeds." At that moment, the king felt a rush of memories returning. His name echoed in the wind, written in the hearts of his people once more. He returned to his palace, but this time, he ruled with wisdom and compassion. The people no longer feared his power, they loved their king. And from that day on, his name was never forgotten. Moral of the story: a true leader is not remembered for his wealth or power, but for how he serves his people.